So when things are really tough, if you're anything like me, you get into a panicky state of mind and you're just thinking, I've just got to go shopping. I've got a minute. I'm going to rush out and get my food shopping in now. But the thing is, if we just rush to the shops and grab a load of stuff in the trolley, I don't know about you, but I get home and all I'm doing is looking at a load of ingredients and I still don't know what needs to go into my food plan. So there's another way. So I'm going to share with you my tips for how to still do your meal planning, but to do that in a really kind way, so there's no failure, you don't feel bad, and you're still looking after yourself at the time that you need it most. And you don't even need to make any notes, because I've tried to download what's in my head into a guide for you on what I'm calling kind meal planning. So my first tip is that when times are tough, there's really little point in trying to make a perfect food plan for the whole month. Things move really fast, and if we try to plan too far ahead, we might actually be setting ourselves up to fail, which is the last thing we need. So experiment with just one weekly meal planning session with a nice cuppa, a tiny bit of space to invest in a little bit of planning that will pay you back later, but just for 1 week. Tip number 2 is to make sure that your meal plan is going to fit with your real world life for this week. So what you need to do is get access to all of your calendars, including your work calendars, your digital calendars, and also including your family calendar, and to identify any hotspots. So if, for example, you're taking your mum to a hospital appointment this week, you know that's the kind of day where your meal plan needs to include things like a packed lunch, but maybe also, oh, it could be longer than I think, so let's make sure I've got healthy snacks in. And as you're doing this, really noticing when that sense of dread is coming up, that sense of, oh, it's going to be an awful day. And if you get that feeling, you get that sense of dread, also just thinking about, is there something sustaining I can do for myself that day? Maybe it's about making sure you've got a really easy meal planned for that evening, something you can pop out of the freezer or just pop in the microwave and warm up. And maybe also it's the quality of that thing, something that makes you feel good, that sustains you in more than just nutrients, but also is something that will kind of give you a boost after a difficult day. And then my third tip is that when we're undergoing a lot of stress, a lot of challenges, we tend to be kind of running on adrenaline, and we might be kind of in the car and halfway to the shops before we even know what we want. So instead of that, as part of your food planning process, take a little bit of time to see what's already in the house. What have you got in the pantry? What have you got in the freezer? If you grow a bit of food, is there a whole load of salad in your raised beds waiting to be picked? Because it might even actually be that you don't need to do a supermarket shop. You might have enough ingredients in that if you invest the time in with a nice cup of coffee and doing some creative planning around what you could cook with them, you might be able to miss out that rush to the supermarket altogether. Or if you are going, that you're going with a focus and you can just go in there and pick what you need and leave. And if you use that time to do a really bit of creative meal planning based on the food ingredients you've got, that might also be sustaining, because you feel like a real pro, right? It's like, I've been able to use all this stuff that I've had sitting in the cupboards, and isn't it nice not to have to get in the car and go driving somewhere when you've already got a million things to do. So now it's finally time to write your meal plan. And you know, I love Paprika app for meal planning, lots of videos on that. But when times get tough like this, I go back to paper. But whatever way you choose to do this stage of meal planning, really getting creative with it. You know what's in the cupboards now. Is there some space to do some bulk cookings? Is it a week when you need lots of grab and go foods? So maybe it's much more realistic for me to get some things that I know that I can just pop into the microwave. Or maybe I say to myself, you know what, that night I'm ordering a takeout. I've made a decision about it. It's not just something I fell into in a reactive way. That night I just want to order a takeout and keep it simple and allow myself to spend some time with friends or a partner or relaxing in front of TV, whatever floats your boat. And when you start making these really intentional decisions about things like takeouts or having an imperfect menu, you are much more in control. You get that satisfaction of having made a decision that is sensible for you at this time. And that's really all we can expect to do when times are tough. And then I've been doing this additional thing, which I found really helpful because I'm not very good at prioritising myself. So I've added an extra column to my meal planning sheet. And on those days where my hotspot planner is telling me it's going to be a rough one, I've actually got a self-care section, and I'm putting some little ideas in there. You know, ring a friend who's a really sustaining friend. It always makes me feel good. Or make sure you've got time for a bath or a walk. Ask someone else to cook that night so that I can have a bit of space. Whatever it is, I'm trying to think about self-care things within the meal planning context. And that might sound really strange, but you know, try it in the real world and see if it helps you, because I've been surprised at how powerful it is. And because I love cooking and I love doing meal planning, I know I will always look at my meal planner, whereas if I had some kind of self-care journal that was separate, I'd never look at it. And then the fifth one is, of course, to make your shopping list. Let's get in and out of the supermarket as quickly as possible. Let's get the things we need. You've done a lot of work now, you know exactly what you need, and getting to the end of that week without having a load of food waste and having achieved what you set out to do in itself is very sustaining. And then my final tip, well, we know what happens to the best laid plans, right? And in these times in our life, even with a weekly planner, everything can shift so very quickly. So to complete your kinder food plan, have a think about, what will I do if all else fails? What's your contingency plan? What sort of foods might you eat, or what other things might you do if everything goes pear-shaped? And for me, beans on toast is just fine. And to try and help you with all of this, I've written all of my ideas down in a free downloadable guide. So if you check the link below, you'll be able to download my guide to kind food planning, and I hope it helps you through the difficult times. So take care of you, and I'll see you next time.